gonna go stupid, or I don't want to say there. I can't keep doing that. Hello everyone out there and welcome back to the channel. Wait a minute, I can't welcome you back to the channel because this is the first video. So let's do that again. Hello everyone out there and welcome to my channel. This is Trifect Tech Builds. I'm Trifect, and on this channel we're going to take old gaming PCs and turn them into aesthetic masterpieces that can still game in 2025. Today's build comes to us from back in late 2017 by a good friend of mine who recently built his own gaming PC, asked me for some assistance in building that PC, and when I asked him what he was doing with his old parts, he said he didn't know what he was going to do with them. I made him a fair offer. We came to a price of $120 for this rig here, and here it is in this video. So let's see if we can take this rig and transform it into something very aesthetically pleasing and can still game in 2025. Let's go over the specs of this and then we'll get to building. This rig was built in late 2017 and features a Intel i5-7500 7th generation processor with 4 cores and 4 threads and a base clock of 3.4 gigahertz with a turbo frequency of up to 3.8 gigahertz. It is on the LGA 1151 socket. A little bit older, but I think we can still do something with this. The motherboard is an Asus Prime Z270-A ATX motherboard. The RAM for this build is a Ballistic Sport LT kit of 8 gigabytes that is 2 sticks of 4 gigabytes each, DDR4 clocked at 2400 megahertz. This will be one of the easier upgrades that we do for this. 8 gigabytes in modern games, not going to get you very far, and it's going to feel a little sluggish. The graphics card in this build is a Zotac NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070 with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, which is plenty for 1080p gaming. We'll see that later in the benchmarking of the PC when we get to play some games. And that is all powered by the EVGA Supernova 650 watt G1 fully modular power supply and is rated B on the PSU tier list. And everything is enclosed in an NZXT S340 black steel ATX mid-tower case. Normally fans would be included in the case, but we migrated those into my buddy's new build. And the case isn't something we're going to be keeping in this build anyway. It's pretty dusty, a little old. I think we can do something a little more aesthetically pleasing for this. You may have noticed when I ran down the specs that there is no storage device or boot drive. He chose to migrate that over to his new build. That is something that we can easily add in once we put it into the new case. Some issues with this build as it stands. It is a little dusty with the expectation that it is 8 years old at this point. It looks like it has been well played and of course well loved. You'll also notice that there are some cables routing inside the case rather than up the back. It looks like the cables are all coming up through the power supply basement rather than running up along the back. If it's something that you just have on your desk, you're not looking at it, not too bad. It's fully functional this way. It doesn't really give it a clean aesthetic build, but as you may be aware of this, there are no RGB lights in this system as of right now. So I don't believe this build was meant to be aesthetically pleasing. And speaking of the power cables coming from the power supply I've noticed is upside down. Based on the gap at the bottom of this case, it looks like the power supply should be fan down. Right now it is fan up. You'll notice in the B-roll footage that I'm probably showing you right now that the writing is upside down. And as you can see right here, there is a dust filter in the bottom of the case. So that is meant to filter in dust when the power supply intakes from the bottom under these feet. So right now, as it stands with the way this build is, the fan of the power supply is up against the shroud basement, which means it's not really pulling in any fresh air because it's inside the case. Probably didn't run into any issues with this, considering this ran for 8 years with little to no problems. That's just something for if you're building your gaming PC with your case, if it gives you the dust filter on the bottom and you have the large gap to be able to pull in fresh air to your power supply, you want to make sure the fan is facing the bottom of the case. So let's go ahead and take a look at the parts we're going to be adding into this build or swapping out in order to see if we can flip this for a profit. Let's go ahead and see them right here. All right, and for the upgraded and replacement parts for today's build, first off, we have the RAM that we're going to be adding in is the HyperX Fury RGB DDR4 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's 2 sticks of 8 gigabytes a piece. And of course, that will give us the pretty RGB lights. And to cool down our CPU, we're going to be using the Thermalright Assassin Spirit 120 Evo in black with an included aRGB fan. For the boot drive, we're going to be adding in a 1 terabyte Samsung SSD SATA drive. We're going to be adding in some Asia Horse PSU cable extensions. These are going to be in the bright black. I think it's going to match the black build and really make the RGB pop. And then we're going to throw all of that into the Zalman Chronix ATX mid-tower gaming PC case. I'm very excited to work with this case. It comes with 3 included aRGB fans. 2 of them are reverse blade that will pull in air from the side, and 1 exhaust in the back that is normal bladed. The last item we'll be adding into the build will be an RGB controller to control the aRGB items. This will come with a remote and allow the person who buys the PC to be able to change the colors. And with that, we're ready to start building. So let's put on some music, tear this PC down, and get to building. right, that I gotta say was a lot of fun. A lot of work, but it brought me a lot of joy to do it. As you can see, the PC came out looking fantastic. These older components really came together to build a very aesthetically pleasing PC. Of course, the RGB lights don't hurt. And in fact, they sell PCs, so that's why we put them in there. Now, as good as this PC looks, I know what you guys are thinking. How much did this cost to build, and how does it perform in modern games? Well, before we get into how much it costs to build this, let's take a look at some gaming benchmarks. All right, first up, we have Counter-Strike 2 benchmark on very high settings. We got an average FPS of 135 and 1% lows at 63. Next up, we took a look at Fortnite featuring The Simpsons on pro settings with an average FPS of 100 and 1% lows at 45. Marvel Rivals with medium settings gave us an average FPS of 81 and 1% lows of 24. Then we were playing some Baldur's Gate 3 on ultra settings, got an average FPS of 90 and 1% lows at 57. Then we took a stroll in Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered on medium settings, gave us an average FPS of 48 and 1% lows of 34. Then just to stress this 8-year-old PC and see what it could really do in 2025, we took a look at Black Myth Wukong's benchmarking tool on medium settings, gave us an average FPS of 74 and 1% lows of 61. All right, I gotta say, this PC did an amazing job in those benchmarks. Let's take a look and see what it cost us to put this build together. Now, me and my buddy agreed to $120 for his original PC. Then I went ahead and purchased the CPU cooler, the upgraded RAM, the cable extensions, the PC case, and the RGB controller for the lights. That total for those purchase parts was $137.48. Brings our total build cost for this machine to $257.48. Now, I'm going to list this for sale on my local Facebook marketplace. I would like to get $400 for this machine. I think that's a great deal, but in order to leave some room for negotiation, I'm going to put it up starting at $500. Now, if this PC were to sell for the $500, that would leave us with a profit of $242.52. Hey guys, Future Trifect here, chiming in. It's about a week since I recorded that last clip. I just got back from selling the PC, sold it for the full $500. So I will go ahead and put that profit up here. It's very exciting. We sold the first PC on the channel. So yeah, we're finally in the green. I guess back to past me. Thank you for joining me here today for this PC build. If you liked what you saw in today's video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, let me know down in the comments, what builds are you guys doing out there? What was the last PC you built? Tell me the specs. I would love to see that and check that out. If you really liked what you saw in the video, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content just like this. I have a few more builds planned, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to go through the journey and watch our dollars go up, up, up as we flip these PCs and have a lot of fun doing it. Thank you once again for joining me today. I hope you guys have a good one. Take it easy.